What's up, guys? This is Nate Wiley. This is the third video now in this these couple of videos that we're doing on XPath and DOMDocument and scraping websites. If you missed the other two, I'm gonna put links to them in the description. But where we left off, we're scraping the IMDb, and we had everything right. And we're basically scraping the links, the images, the titles from the links, and the titles from the images on this page. So this is the second page. So let's go back to the first page. So this is where we left off, and now it's gonna get a little bit complicated. It shouldn't get too bad, but we're gonna basically write a function that will recursively. The end goal is to recursively be able to crawl all the URLs until there isn't any left. So what we're gonna want to do, a couple things that I noticed at the end of the last video. Let's reload this real quick. When we get these URLs, they're using relative URLs. So it's like the IMDb, and then that's like the relative URL. So if we click on one, it goes to that, right? So what I want to do is do like a variable for that, the base URL, let's say. So we'll say base URL equals, and then we'll just take this, right? And then we could say the link title, or no, it'd be the source. No, it's this. So link href, and we don't want query right here. That's kind of silly. So the href is going to be, since this is relative, we're going to add the base URL. And then we can just concatenate those two together. So that should make it a full URL. Let's just make sure that's right. Okay, so now we've got the link, the full link. So let's just check it and make sure that it's good to go. So yep, it works. So we got that. Now, what we want to do, we got to make this into a function. So what we can do is say, okay, let's just create a function, and we'll call it scrape IMDb. Let's just call it that, scrape IMDb. It's going to take a URL, right? So then inside of this function, we're going to want to create this data array. And then we're going to want to, we could pretty much copy all this code that we have in here. So we'll copy all this. Right, so okay, let's make this look better. So what's going to change is the URL that we're doing the XPath with. So basically what the goal is we want to, and we're going to want to return the data of this. I don't mean to get sidetracked here. So we're going to return the data out of this function. So we can delete this. And just to make sure that this works, we're going to pass in this URL. Let's just try it. So what I'm going to do is take this start URL, and I'm going to put it into this function. So let's say scrape IMDb. Whoops, it's going to be let's go back twice. Let's make this bigger, and then we're going to put a string in here of the URL. And why did it do that? Let's copy this, and we'll put that in there. We got it right this time. Okay, so then, and this is going to return an array. You know, we could even call this an array to make it real readable, I guess. So it's going to return an array, so we can say data then equals that, right? So this should return an array. So let's echo a pre, and then let's print this array that we get. So let's run the script. Excuse me for clearing my throat so much. I'm getting kind of sick. So undefined variable base URL, and that's because we defined it outside of that. So we could just go ahead and throw that in here. Yeah. Or we could have made it global, but we'll just throw it in there because we don't need it outside of the function. Okay, so it does the exact same thing, but now we have a function. So just make sure that everything's right, let's go back to where we were at. Now let's go to page 2, right? So this is the second page, 51 through 100, starts with the other guys. So we can just take this URL and pop it into our function that we did. So it knows all the code that to do, and this is kind of why it's so powerful, is because once it's done, then we can just flip-flop the URLs out, and this code we can just reuse, and well, in theory it'll work. So let's just make sure. Whoops, wrong page. So now this is the second page, the other guys, white chicks, all that stuff. So this is the second page, and you get the idea. So what we're gonna do to make this work is when we found this next link for the pagination, however the pagination works, you just want to figure out where that's at, and then in this function we're going to do a check right here, and then if we're going to check for this next link, and if it's available, we're going to take the href from it, and then we're basically going to run this function again from within inside of it. So we're going to call it recursively, and then we're going to merge this array with the array that the next function returns. So it'll just keep merging the array until there's nothing left, and then we should have it should return an array, sorry, with all the data from all the pages. So basically the first page you're going to pass in, it's going to do everything, scrape everything, check for this next link, and then it's going to do it again. So we could just write that logic right here. So we could say, first of all, we're going to want to make sure that that exists. And you know what? One thing I want to check, because I didn't check yet, and I've never scraped IMDb, is what happens on this last page. So let's see, 1 through 100 of 1830. If we look at this URL, looks like we have a start variable. Let's see the next one. Yeah, so the start variable is basically where it starts, so we're on 51. So we can look at the last page by saying 18 or 17, like 80 or something. 1790, let's just say. Yeah, so now we're on this is the last page, and there's no next link. So what'll happen is we'll do a true-false evaluation, and when it gets to the last page, it's going to return false because there's no next link there. So it knows that it's done. So what we need to do is just get rid of this for now. Let's get rid of the start link. Or we'll change it back to the first page. Right? So then we'll save this, and then we're gonna have to do some logic here. So let's say first we're gonna say next link, right? Next page link. Next page link equals, and we can use XPath again and do that query. We already have it written. It's that kind of tricky one we did. So there's that, right? And then let's just echo the next page link length, right? So okay, let's do that. Okay, so it found one, and so that means that there is one. So it'd be 0 if it doesn't find one. But 1 and 0 are Boolean values, so we can actually just use this in a true-false statement. So we could say, like, if the length, right? If the length is 1, so if there is a next page link, then we're going to do something different. So if there is a next page link, we're going to say array, right? And array is going to be equal to, and we're going to use a function called array merge. That's what I like to use, and what that does is it's going to merge two arrays together. So we have this array that from running through the function, or we will have it at this point. And then we're going to set that equal to basically the result of running this function again. So we'll say array, and then we'll say scrape IMDb. So we're going to run this function from within inside of it. And actually we're going to need the, let's see, next URL equals next page link, and we can even call it query because that's kind of how I've been doing it, I guess. So query, so next page query, and then item 0 it should be the first one, and then we'll say node value. And actually we're gonna want the href on this, so we could just say at href, so that'll give us the link, yeah, the href. So then if there is one, then this next URL is going to be that href, and then we're going to run this this whole function again on that next URL, right? And then this should be enough right here. So then at the end it's going to just return this big array of all the pages. So let's just try this and see if we get any errors. Undefined variable next page link. Okay, so we want next page query right here. Trying to get property of, okay, that should probably fix that one. Okay. Curl error, malformed URL. Search title at 0. Oh, okay. So it's because, yeah, they use relative URL. So what we forgot to do was set the next URL to be relative. So the next URL is going to be the base URL again. And then we're going to attach the next URL. So we know that it worked though. It got all the way to it, and then it tried to run curl on the next URL, but it was just a relative, so it didn't know what to do. So let's try this again. And that's why I have this error thing. So this is the error number 3. Blah, blah. Sometimes these scripts are going to take a little bit to run, especially if it's recursively going through each page, you know, ripping the data. It doesn't take a long time, but, and I can tell that this is working just because I've done this quite a bit. Let's, hopefully it'll be done soon here. Yeah. So what happened was we ran out of time. Look how many times it ran that function though. So yeah, we were on page, so they do 50 per page, then that's going to be 60 pages, I believe, that we're going to go through. So what we can do, and this is something I forgot to say, I guess, when you're doing scripts that do recursive scraping, you're going to want to make sure that you have unlimited time. So with PHP, I believe you can just say set time limit, and then in seconds, and if you want it to be unlimited time, you can just put a 0. So this will override the default setting and then give the script unlimited time to run. Because what happened just now is it went for 30 seconds and then it was almost done and then it canceled. So let's run this one more time. So yeah, it looks like it got through about 24 pages, and then something like that. Come on, come on. This was kind of stupid because I didn't print out the data so we could look at it or anything. So yeah, why don't we just change that to say echo a pre, and then we can print out the data. For the next round. Okay, so it finished. It took about, I don't know, a minute almost. And it finished, but we didn't do anything with the data, but there's no error, so, and let's do it one more time. And then we can do something fun that I like to do. I do a lot of stuff with text files sometimes when I'm messing around. And I was actually thinking about doing a video on like text file techniques or whatever. But one thing we can do, and I can show you, is we can basically, while this is running and scraping everything, we can basically in the middle of the function have it open a text file and write to it. And it just looks really, I think it's cool because you can actually open the text file and watch it write to the text file as it's running, and I just think it looks cool, personally. But once this is done, we can do that real quick. Yeah, so we did it. So now we've got this huge array. So to 50, here's the first page, and then automatically goes to the second page. Well, actually, this is the start of the first page because it's 0 index. And then we're at the second page, and let's just scroll through all this data, 1,000, all the way through to 1829. Well, there's 1830. So this is the last one. So powerful stuff. You know, I mean, we just ran through 60 pages and took everything we wanted, you know, the links, all that stuff, so you could put this in a database or something, or you could, you know, the possibilities are endless with what you wanted to do with it. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So why don't we do this? Instead of creating an array and all this, I'm just going to comment this out. Well, I need this part. Array equals array merge. So what we could do is just probably just comment this out, and then just run that function again from in here. If I'm not stupid right now, and I could be thinking wrong. So, and let's just comment this out. So this should go to the next URL. And then instead of this, what we could do is say, okay, let's do this. First of all, let's create a file. So we'll say f open, and then file handler equals f open, and then let's just make it imdb.txt, and then I'm gonna do a plus to append, I believe is the right one, and that'll create it if it's not already made. And then after this loop, we can do an f close, or no, yeah, we can just do an f close after the loop, I think, to close the file handler. And then what we're going to do is we're going to write to this file inside of this loop. So we could say f write, and then we pass in the handler, and then the string that we're going to want, we can just, why don't we just make this string? So we'll call it a string, and we'll say string equals, and we can just put this a certain way. So we'll say the image title, and we can use like sometimes I use like asterisks because I know they're not very common. So we could put an asterisk in between, and then put this, and then, well, let's see. Why don't we just make this a little bit more readable? And then we'll say string, and we'll concatenate this, and then we'll add this after that, the star again, and then we can just copy this line down, and we'll say Yeah, I kind of messed these up. So I'll take this, delete it with some Sublime Text magic. If you want to know how to do that, if you in Sublime Text, you can highlight it, and then you can hit Control D. Like I got this image selected. If I hit Control D, it's gonna select the next one, and then you could say link, right? And then you could say we'll take this, select that one, and say link href. Right, so this looks right. Image title, source, link. Okay, and we need this base URL to be added here. Okay, so this is gonna make this string, and then it's gonna concatenate it all together, and then we're gonna write it to this text file within the loop. And this should work first try, hopefully, but it might not. So let's check this out. So I'm gonna run this script, and we created a file, so that worked. And now we can watch this file basically just keep it's writing to it. It's writing huge amounts because it's doing 50 at a time, but it's kind of cool to watch this so that you can kind of see what's happening or whatever. Yeah. So this is cool, I think. It looks cooler when it's not so much information, because there's kind of a lot on each line. Ooh, and you know what? I made a big mistake. Too bad you can't stop this. Yeah, I forgot to add a line break on each line, so this is all on line 1, it looks like. And then we wouldn't be able to use like fgets or something, and that's why it looks so ugly too. So that's finished, it looks like. So let's run this one more time, but we will just go ahead and add a line break, a new line character. So I'm just going to delete this text file that we just did, and then we'll run this again. So yeah, this looks a lot better now. 1, 2, Las Vegas. So here's the title of the image, and then we have a star, and then the title of, or the image source, and then we have a star, and then the title. We probably could have used this same title for this. Whoops, reload it, and then yeah. So yeah, and this is numbered really nice. We got 11, 18, 11, 20. So this would be, I guess, if you wanted to, sometimes I do this before I go to the database with it or something. That way, because this text file, the way it's formatted with the stars, it's really easy to like open it and then explode the values into an array by the star. So let's do that. So I'm just gonna make a new file, and we'll call it explode.php or something. I think it's explode. So then we need our PHP tags, and we're gonna use a file again, and we're gonna open that one that we just made. So we'll say fopen, and then pass in the file hand, or not the file handler, the imdb.txt, and we just want to read it, so we pass in the R. And then what we can do is say, we can do a loop and say while it's file not the end of file or something like that, FEOF. So while it's not the end of file, and this is, I believe, a function, and it takes the file handler as the parameter, and then we could say array equals fgets, and this is going to take the handle. And what this does is it'll go line by line, and it will, each line, it'll put that into a array value. So line 1 will be array 0, line 2 will be array 2, or array 1. And I usually like to do a trim on these too. It's just my style, I guess. because sometimes there's like white space or something, and that'll clear all the white space off either side. What we can do is just have this create a bunch of arrays. Yeah, I didn't like practice this code before doing it. So okay, we got a bunch of arrays here, and then we can say the count should be 1800, and we can use a for loop, so we have a little bit more control. So we could say the count equals count, and we'll count that I array, and then we could say for x equals 0, x is less than count, x plus plus, and then we'll say the new array, and we'll put the x index in for that. And we could say image source equals, and it's going to be this I array, and it's going to be the x that we're on and 0. And then we want to just copy this down and say the next one is actually the first one's the image title. Second one is the image source. Third one is the title, I guess. And then this is going to be the link, right? So there's a new array. So then we're going to print out the new array. That's how I like it. Okay, so now we have an array that's associative, and it messed up completely because I put 0 for all of these. So 0, 1, 2, 3. There we go. So now we got everything right. And then we could say, like, you know, if we wanted to be cool or something, we could let's just do something fun. It's not going to be pretty. Warning. And we could say IMDb. And we could say div container. And then we could say div, or we could say the count. Let me just do this. For each, wow. Yeah, watch me watch me make mistakes. For each new array, such a clever name, as HTML, let's say, as just new, and then we'll say output let's create some output. There's nothing, and we can just, I'm just gonna make some HTML real quick, and we'll say the H1, we'll say, we'll just throw this in here and say IMDb movie scrape, capitals, and then we'll say, we'll make a div class of movie, and it's gonna have an image, it's gonna have a title, and it's gonna have a link, and that's all we need. Oh no, we need an image. And then it's gonna be IMDb image. And then we can just throw like yeah, that should be enough. So let's make this into a string. We'll just echo it out. Say echo this. And then we'll echo this, but we'll take the values out and say new, and that's gonna be the image, or no, it's gonna be the link, I believe we called it. The link, and then we can do the same thing right here for the title. And then we can just throw this image in here. And we can say the source of that is going to be the image source. Image source. And then we can even add the title. So if you hover over it, it'll show the title or something. So, and that's going to be image title. Right. So then, well, we don't even need this output, I guess. We're just echoing it out. So we might have errors, but you get the idea. I'm sure you guys can use this to do some awesome stuff. So let's just check this out. It's working. It's doing something. It's probably trying to request. Oh, that was stupid. 1,800 images. Yeah, that's a lot. So why don't we just put a limit on here? Instead of doing all this, let's just say 50. It will work if you got all day to download 1,800 images, but I think I probably crashed the browser. So I do 50, and nothing happens. Well, it did happen because I printed this out, so it's probably at the bottom. Yep, here we go. IMDb movie scrape. So let's delete this print R. There we go. So now we got something. Here's all the movies that we scraped the pictures and the links and the titles. It says vampire if you hover over them. Just some simple HTML, but yeah, if you click any of these links, it's going to go to the right place. So powerful stuff, XPath. You know, definitely check it out. Play with it. Only way to get better at it is just to keep using it. You know, get errors. Oh well, keep going. But yeah, hopefully this video is useful and you guys make some awesome stuff out of it. And yeah, subscribe and I'll be doing more videos. Alright, thanks guys.